Hey everyone, we're back and we're not learning languages, we're learning chess openings, the French and the Catalan. And with us, as always, is Mr. Benji.
Hello, hello.
So we're going to start with the French defense, and I know I already recommended this to you and you looked at some videos, correct?
Yeah.
The thing about the French is that it has like a lot of different plans and ideas depending on how white plays. So I'm gonna play the white pieces and you'll play the black pieces.
Right.
Okay, very good. So my first question to you, because I had a bit of a long day with commentary, so I didn't have time to check all your games. What is the most common reply move people play against you here?
It would. So it'd be then knight to c3, or maybe knight to f3, or bishop to like f4 or something.
Wow. So it's like really all over the place, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of random. I'm not gonna lie.
So how many times do you get to capture this pawn for free?
Almost never. Normally it's protected. I'll say most of the time it's. I think the most common one's here.
Okay. So you sent me a game you were happy with yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And so I noticed the guy you played against there, he played this pawn takes pawn.
Oh yeah, that happens quite a bit as well.
Yeah. And I just want to, tell you we're not afraid of this at all.
Okay.
And frankly, the way you played it yesterday was pretty perfect because you had a winning position after like 8 moves, which is a bit of an achievement. So I think you took back with a pawn. And then basically what you do here as black, it's the same strat we've been talking about, right? First, develop the pieces on the left side of your king.
Yeah.
So you get your knight out, and I feel like the guy you played against played this knight, which we know isn't really the best strategy.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I think in your game you got the bishop here somehow.
Yeah, I think so.
But I just moving the bishop 1 out is also fine. Just getting the king castled early. And then the idea of this what is called the exchange French, because you do the early exchange in the middle.
Yeah.
Is that whomever gets the rook into the center first is doing pretty well, because that's an open file pointing down towards the opponent's king.
Yeah.
And well, you did this in your game. You got a really good position because you were so quick to bring your rook into the game.
Yeah. That was from. I remember you doing it against me, I think.
Oh, really? That's good.
That's why I did it.
Yeah. Okay, so we're not really afraid of this move. Just capture back and get the pieces out, whichever way you choose.
So should I not be playing the c pawn to c5?
No, in this position you should not be doing that. But thank you for asking the question. So in this situation, when your pawn is standing alone in the middle,
yeah,
it's rarely a good idea to move the pawn too forward, because after the capture, it means that your pawn is permanently lonely.
Yeah, that's true.
So it can never be supported by a buddy.
Alright.
Which means this is what we call an isolated pawn. And those pawns always have to be defended by your pieces. So now your knight is reduced to being a defensive piece, because it always has to stand where it is to defend rather than doing something more aggressive.
Okay. Sounds.
Yeah, which kind of naturally brings us, when we're going back to this initial position, it brings us to this pawn move forward.
Oh yeah, I don't like playing against this.
Yes, but now we're going to teach you how to play against it, and then you're going to hope the opponent plays this every single time.
Yeah, okay. I don't like it because I can't bring my knight there.
Yeah, so that's clearly a problem with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in this variation, what happens is that we target the pawn on d4.
Okay.
Very important to remember. So you remember how we told the story of the lonely pawn you had earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this guy can no longer have support from his neighbor because his neighbor already rushed up the board.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to attack this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And we do that first by playing this c5 move.
Okay.
And notice the difference compared to the previous time. If this one is captured, you get your bishop out, and your pawn in the middle is defended by the other pawn, which is defended by the other pawn.
Good position.
Yeah. Everything is well defended. No pawns are lonely.
Yeah.
So instead, the normal way of playing with white is c3.
Mm-hmm.
Basically just giving support to the other guy.
Yeah.
And now pay close attention, because this is going to be one of very few times you're allowed to do this.
Okay.
In this situation, you get your queen out as the first piece.
Okay.
And the reason is you want to increase your threats on this c and d4 pawn.
Okay.
If white captures your pawn, what do you play?
Bishop takes.
Yeah, you can execute the moves.
Yeah.
And now you have two pieces working together, already making threats against white's position.
Mm. Okay.
So instead, white is going to strive to keep the pawn here. So white is going to go knight to f3.
Yeah.
And then you're going to increase the pressure here by going knight to c6.
Okay.
And defending this guy is going to be difficult for white, because if white tries to support it further with the bishop, what happens?
You could play here.
Yes, very good. So white doesn't have that option. One trick, it's very important you know, is that if the bishop comes to d3, do not get tempted to take this guy in the middle.
I've seen this on TikTok actually. I forgot. He gets
fucking Sumer.
Bro, he gets.
Did this just happen?
I've seen it on TikTok.
I've seen it on TikTok.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah, I saw it. It's good though. I mean, I knew about this before. I forgot he does it, but he takes my queen somehow.
I'm sorry. My sense of reality just shifted. I'm gonna need a couple of seconds to recover from this. Wow.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah, okay. So let's finish the trap, I guess.
Yeah.
So if the pawn captures, you do not get tempted by this guy.
Okay.
Because then white will capture back. You will take with your queen. And as you have learned from your TikTok, there is a check to the king while simultaneously opening an attack on the queen.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do instead?
Not take.
Yes, very good.
Maybe develop my pieces. Like, I don't know.
Okay, so what you're going to do... Yeah, no. This bishop does not belong here. There's a good thing you mentioned it, because sometimes I don't know what kind of weird thoughts enter your head that I gotta just, knock out of it. This square is not for your bishop.
But I thought I mean, when I played on the last one, when you play here, and you play here.
Yes, but notice how on the last one you actually got to move your knight up.
Yeah.
Because that's no longer possible. That pawn is limiting your knight's option.
So you want to like leave this square for your knight?
Yes. Well, sometimes. It depends.
Okay.
It depends, but I definitely don't want to move my bishop first. Because that also applies to the thing we talked about, right?
Yeah.
That normally you do knights before bishops.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to do here is moving the bishop to d7.
How come?
If white, say, I don't know, castles.
I can castle as well.
No, so the idea is that now you're threatening in the middle.
What, with that bishop?
Yeah, kinda.
How
Because
come?
if white now castles,
Then
you can capture,
okay.
capture, 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 capture.
Okay. But then how does why does the bishop moving?
That was going to be my question to you.
I mean, you could play. Oh, I can't move. You could play bishop to b5 maybe. Oh no, you can't. Never
It's
mind.
white's move. Black just captured a pawn.
Oh, it's so I don't get the trap. It's so I don't get trapped.
Yes, very good.
Okay. I understand.
So by moving the bishop out, you prevented that check to the black king.
Yeah.
So then it becomes a threat. If white instead, where after we moved the queen and knight to help pressure against this central pawn, if white goes with the bishop one square, I want you to make the move knight h6.
Okay.
And this is a bit of a weird move.
Yeah.
Because normally you don't like moving your knight to the edge, and especially not when the opponent has the option of capturing said knight.
Yeah.
But, number one, if this knight is captured, taking back with a pawn is not the end of the world. Because you still got that really good pressure against the middle.
Yeah.
So this is not the end of the world. But also, there's an idea in this opening that sometimes you can capture this guy and just say, well, yes, you took a knight, but I'm going to take a rook.
Okay. But can't you capture the bishop first and then do that?
Well, sometimes your opponent prevents your plans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you could get both, that would be good. But honestly, the biggest chance of you getting both is if you first attack the rook and your opponent panics and it tries to get his queen, right? To protect. Yeah, and then you take the bishop.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say that because then you can't take the rook because of the queen.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So if white doesn't capture this one and instead goes to castle, I want you to capture this one in the middle.
Yeah.
But this is a special circumstance. I never want you to capture this one unless you're ready to attack after.
Okay.
So the thing about capturing this one is that it opens up the square on c3 for white's knight.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of helping white getting in the pieces into play by making that exchange. The reason I'm saying it's okay to do now is because you have this guy on the edge about to go into the middle and there's 1, 2, 3 black pieces against the pawn in the middle, and white is unable to defend.
Yeah. Okay.
So why didn't I capture, instead of moving this knight, why didn't I capture first? Well, that's because if you then do this plan, you allow white to get this knight forward, and then this knight manages to kick away black's queen. And when the queen is no longer there, you will no longer be able to capture the pawn in the middle. Instead, well, our main focus will be moving the knight forward.
Yeah.
And here, the system we're going to focus on is capturing immediately in the middle.
Okay.
Now, this is a bit of a controversial capture. But I think the plans associated with it will suit you very well.
Alright.
So the knight captures back. And now you move your knight in front of your queen.
Okay.
It's a weird move.
Yeah.
The idea is to support the f6 square and the c5 square at the same time.
Oh, so then you can move your pawn c5?
Yes. We will move the pawn to c5. And what do you think is the importance of the f6 square?
So I don't know. I mean, so he can't play his bishop here, I guess? I don't know.
Okay, so the importance of the f6 square is maybe best explained if I move my knight out first.
Okay.
Because if the knight comes out,
yeah,
then white will take this one. And now black faces a choice between getting these doubled pawns, which is not great, or getting the queen out early. And getting the queen out early is not an advantage. In this position, white will get a really good game by playing the knight out. And then if you like just continue as if nothing has happened, if you try to get your bishop out, then white will get their bishop out, attack your queen. And when you move the queen, white will get the other bishop out, once again attacking your queen. And, well, you get the idea. You're moving your queen around a lot.
That's rough, yeah.
While the opponent is getting all their pieces into dangerous positions.
Yep.
So, that's the reason why we don't move the knight out immediately.
Yeah.
But, after playing this knight d7 move, now we have the support we need. Because if white moves the knight out, then you can move knight f6.
Okay.
So you challenge the knight in the center. It needs to either move or be defended or capture black's knight. And if they capture, then now you capture back with your knight.
Yeah.
And you're fine-ish.
And then you'd play the pawn.
Yes. Yes, very good.
Okay.
Which is going to be our key plan in almost every situation.
Yeah.
So, like, if white goes out with the bishop, what do?
Play the pawn out.
Yes. And, well, this is kind of advanced. I don't think your opponents are going to do this. But to illustrate to you what the main move here is, the main move for white is moving the bishop out. Okay. Which gives indirect protection of the c5 square. And And I think the fact that this is the considered the best way to play for white gives you an idea of how much white doesn't want you to play this move.
Yeah.
And even here in your games, you know, you're going to be fine. I mean, you can just get your bishop out and castle.
Okay. So then you just, if he plays that, you just ignore that, playing that.
Yeah, I mean, if he manages to stop you, good for him. But, like, at the top level, probably just getting your pieces out would not be feasible. But for your level, just getting your bishop out and then getting castled. And then maybe trying to get this guy into play.
Yeah, I always find it kind of hard to get him.
Yeah. Can you see an idea for black in this position on how to get this bishop involved?
I mean, you could fianchetto it.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's fine. That's normally what I think to do.
Yeah, that's good.
But I feel like sometimes I do it too early and I do it before I cast.
Yes, do not do it before you castle.
Yeah.
That is a big no-no.
Okay.
Get your king to safety first. Because if you, for instance, in this position, play the pawn up, and then maybe if your opponent is being aggressive, and then you do your fianchetto, then there are going to be big threats with the bishop coming in against your king.
Yeah.
So by moving the pawn up, one of the options you lose is that you lose the ability to meet this bishop check by just blocking if you so choose.
Yeah.
Because once you move this guy, you no longer have that option. And that's why it makes sense to castle before you start trying to do the fianchettos.
No.
So after this knight d7 move, essentially what's going to happen is no matter what white plays, you're going to get your knight involved next.
Okay.
Because you're going to be very interested to know what your opponent chooses to do about this guy.
Yeah.
And you want to give him that decision. Either if he blunders the knight, or if he moves it back, or if he defends it. I was going to say there might be different plans depending on what your opponent does. But the reality is there isn't a different plan.
Yeah. I mean, if he plays it back, then you can just play here, right? It's only if he... Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, you're pretty much going to play this no matter what white does.
Yeah, okay.
So if white retreats the knight, you're going to go c5.
Yeah.
If white moves the knight forward, you're still going to play c5. If the guy exchanges, then you're going to take back. But then next after that, you're going to go c5.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think let's get the whole fianchetto on the board. Because it's nice to see really how effective this bishop is. It went from being like your worst piece, where it was looking at your own pawn, and just by making 2 moves, you've managed to make this bishop one of the best pieces on the board. Actually, not even one of the, it's the best.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I think it would be nice if you played, okay, let me make a move. It would be nice if you played rook c8.
Okay, how come?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how come.
I guess you could probably push your c pawn then.
Yes. So basically, you never abandon this plan of playing c5.
You just delay it.
Sometimes your opponent might do stuff to prevent it, but you're still in a position to make preparatory moves.
Yeah.
And let's say the pawn moves forward, and you can go. You got the bishop and the rook.
Yeah.
Making sure that your pawn is well protected.
Right here, would you take?
No, like, I think right here I would move my queen up. It's kind of annoying that I cannot do more than one move at a time. I would move my queen up and then get my rook in the middle.
Okay.
Because then I have really nice rooks pointing down.
Yeah. And would this be like
This would be like your dream situation.
Yeah.
And in this opening, in particular, this is pretty much the setup you're often going for. So this is a very common square for the queen. This is a very common square for the bishop. And this is a really common square for the rook. Yeah. The only thing that's kind of weird here is this guy. But, you know, that was a move you made to be able to go c5. And you're happy to keep the tension here.
Alright.
Because if you capture in the middle, he gets his knight into the middle. Whereas, if white captures here, then you get your bishop in a better position.
Yeah.
So it's like the person who's the most impatient and cannot wait to trade is also the person allowing the opponent to get their pieces in better positions.
Okay.
Yeah. So if white moves the bishop out, what are you gonna play?
Think here?
Yes. Very good. So c5 has not been prevented, and you're just gonna follow through with it.
Yeah.
If white castles,
okay,
what are you gonna do? Actually, this I'm gonna tell you. So whenever you haven't castled yourself, or whenever you're not in a position to castle immediately, I want you to capture this guy.
Okay.
Just don't think about holding the tension. Just get it done.
Yeah.
The reason for that is because if you move your bishop out, then white has the option of capturing your pawn. And then this is actually a theme we discussed from the Queen's Gambit, where you have to move your bishop for a second time in a row.
Yeah.
To recapture. And that's a loss of time you don't really want to expose yourself to.
Okay.
So instead, in these situations when you're still quite far off from getting castled, I want you to take in the middle immediately.
Okay. But then won't he have two of his knights like in the center?
Yes.
Isn't that, like, bad?
It's these knights are pretty good.
Yeah.
But you have some advantages. Number one, you have an extra pawn in the middle, which also helps defend your king. And you have some ideas of trying to make threats up against his pieces.
Okay.
But yeah, no, be aware that this knight can create some danger, so you have to be aware.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do in this situation?
Probably just bishop here.
Yes, good move, good move. Yes, you're just going to focus on getting the king to safety ASAP.
Yeah.
No shenanigans. Just get that king to safety. If white now captures your knight, which piece will you capture back with?
The knight.
Yes, very good.
And you've also got this. Oh, that.
Yeah, opening up for the queen, and also sometimes you need it for protection around your king. Let me now say that white goes with a rook into the middle.
Castle.
Okay.
Oh wait, I should have took.
Do you want to go back?
Yeah. How can I go back?
Left arrow.
Left arrow. There you go.
And what is your plan against the move bishop?
Probably. Oh, there's that.
So you're gonna find this to be quite a common theme in the French.
Yeah.
So you're gonna want to avoid that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got it right the first time. Castles.
Yeah, but that was by accident. Okay. So you didn't really pass that test. But yeah, castles is good. And if white tries to do a fianchetto.
Boom.
And if white tries to give a check.
Oh wait. My queen's hanging. That's not good. Wait, that happens so much.
Yeah. So in the French, you have to be very aware of this.
Yeah.
So yeah, the knight is sometimes safe where it stands, even though it's unprotected.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think I managed to convey my main points.
Yeah.
That of where I want you to place your pieces, right?
Mm-hmm.
So getting the bishop out, getting the king to safety as soon as possible, and if possible, you know, moving your queen and getting your rook to the middle. Okay, that was Benji, and he has now learned the French defense. I'm really looking forward to seeing his games. This was our 7th lesson with Benji, and I think some of that content will be very useful for people eager to improve.